Okay, this video is going to be lesson 1.6. I can solve proportions. And a proportion is an equation stating that two rates or ratios are equal. So you have two ratios like we have here. We say that these two are equal. When you multiply across like this, a times d, so you get a times d, and b times c, those are called the cross products, because you're multiplying across like this, and the cross products at every proportion are equal. So we can use that to solve for these missing numbers. So on this first one, I'm going to find the cross product. So x times 10, which is 10x, has to equal 4 times 9, which is 36. So I found the cross products. I know they have to be equal because of what I had filled in up here. Now I have a one-step equation to solve. So what's the opposite? I have 10 times x. The opposite of multiplying by 10 is dividing by 10. So I get x equals 3.6. Let's try the same thing on the second one. I'll find the cross product. So I have 2 times y, which is 2y. And I have 5 times 34, which I don't know what that is, 170. And then I need to get the y by itself. So I will divide both sides by 2. And I'll get y, that's 1y, equals 170 divided by 2 is 85. Okay, let's go on to the third one. I have 3 times x, which is 3x, equals 21 times 7, which is 147. Then I'll divide by 3 to get the variable by itself. So I get x equals 49. Okay, this next one's going to be a little bit different. I'm still going to find the cross product. And I have, on this side, I have to do 2 times x plus 5. The x plus 5 has to be in parentheses, because I'm going to multiply the 2 by both of these, equals 3 times 18. 3 times 18 is 54. And then you know how to solve equations like this. You have two options. You can distribute or divide by 2 first. I'm going to distribute, so I have 2x plus 10 equals 54. Then subtract 10. So I have 2x equals 44, and I'm running out of space, so all I can do here is divide by 2. So I have x equals 11. All right, let's do some story problems quick. Number 1 says, after 2 hours, the air temperature has risen 7 degrees Fahrenheit. Write and solve a proportion to find the amount of time it will take at this rate for the temperature to raise an additional 13 degrees Fahrenheit. So what's really important when we do story problems is that we set up both rates or ratios the same way. So let's say for my first ratio I do 2 over 7. 2 is measuring the time. 7 is measuring the change in temperature, right? 7 degrees Fahrenheit. That means on my other ratio I have to do it the same way. So I want this to be equal to however much time it will take me to go up 13 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know the time, so I'm going to put in x. I know it needs to raise 13 degrees Fahrenheit. That has to go on the bottom because I had 7 on the bottom over here. So I have time on top for both. I don't know the time here. And temperature on the bottom for both. The first time it was 7 degrees, now we want it to go up 13 degrees. Now I'll solve this the same way. I'll find the cross product. 2 times 13 is 26. So I have 26 equals 7 times x. And then I'll use the party wall. So I'll divide by 7. So I get x equals 26 divided by 7 is 3 5/7. And then I have to put my units, so hours. As a decimal, it's 3.7142857, but it'd be easier to just say 3 5/7. All right, number 2 is a little bit different. It says if the ratio of type O to non-type O donors at a blood drive was 37 to 43, how many donors would be type O out of 300 donors? So I know I'm looking for how many are type O. That's what I'm trying to find. I don't know what that is, so I'm looking for type O. out of 300 total donors. So the bottom is measuring total donors, sorry. So on the top of my ratio, I have people with type O. On the bottom, I have total donors. That means on my other ratio, I have to put type O on top. And it says type O to non-type O, so 37 is type O. And I need the total donors on the bottom. 43 is not total donors. 43 is how many did not have type O. So if I add 37 plus 43, that will tell me that 80 people donated. So I had 80 total donors, 37% or 37 of them were type O, and then I want to know how many are type O out of 300 total donors. And then I'll find the cross product. So I have 37 times 300, which is 11,100, and 80 times x is 80x. Then divide by 80 on both sides. So I get x equals about 138.75. And that's people with type O. Can you have part of a person? Technically you can't, so we could also just say 139 people have type O because we can't have part of a person. Okay, I'm going to start setting up one more and have you solve it on your own and answer the question in the box. So it says the ratio of 7th grade students to 8th grade students on a soccer team is 17 to 23. If there are 200 students in all, how many are there in 7th grade? So I'm looking for how many are 7th graders. So I know 7th graders has to be somewhere in my ratio. And the only other information I have about this other group is that there are 200 total students. I need to put the 200 on the bottom. Okay, so then I can use this information to set up my other one. I know 7th graders has to be on top, which is 17. On the bottom, I need the total, which is not 23. That's the 8th graders. The total is 17 plus 23, which would give me 40. Right? Yeah. So I need you to solve that one on your own and then put your answer in the submission box.